take a little more than 10 minutes. But you're right, absolutely, DW. This diatomic hydrogen water is enormously powerful. We have the machines that we have been selling for a few years that produce between 0.5 and 1.0 ppm of H2, which is diatomic hydrogen water. To give you a background, hydrogen is the smallest atom in the universe, has a molecular weight of 1, that's how they calculate it. And so when hydrogen pairs together, it's H2, which has a molecular weight of 2. Everything else is larger than that in the universe that we know of. And as a consequence, hydrogen is uninhibited. Well, it can be inhibited, but it can't be stopped. It can move through everything, through your body. It can go through lead or gold or any of those types of really uranium-dense products. I don't think it'd make it through uranium because hydrogen is, well, perhaps the greatest antioxidant of them all. It has enormous power. Just you think of it in terms of the hydrogen bomb. What's the most powerful bomb ever created? Hydrogen bomb. And with that, hydrogen has an enormous amount of energy which it contains and which it transfers as sunlight comes down to the earth. Now the sun is a ball of hydrogen. It goes hydrogen to helium to recharge and back to hydrogen. So it's sending out bursts of sunlight loaded with hydrogen. Along with it comes a lot of different light waves and things of that nature, solar radiation. It's really what we're talking about. When they hit the ground, there are some good and bad properties. And having ultraviolet lights, very oxidizing, can create a lot of damage. Others like infrared lights. Infrared light has very good properties for things like growing crops. That's what stimulates the plants to take in the chlorophyll and split off the energy from it, and from that solar radiation, and then make it into various forms of chemicals that are natural, nutritional chemicals within the body. So with that, of course, comes hydrogen, which is the primary primary ingredient that's responsible for virtually all life on Earth. We heard that sunlight couldn't, all life on Earth would not exist if it didn't have sunlight. Yeah, that's true, but if sunlight didn't have hydrogen, that's the same thing. Hydrogen is such an important component. So as we developed these units and started looking with 3 to 5 years ago, there was very little known about hydrogen. It's just that medicine is advancing so quickly, and we're learning so much more that we're able to make giant leaps where it used to be tiptoeing. We're making giant leaps ahead into the future because so much more sophistication has come in our analysis ability and our clinical research. And that's what I do. I follow the research. I'm a researcher of the research. That's where I get most of these discoveries for the products I use, because I'm on the cutting edge of it, I think, and most everything is relevant to what we're doing. So if you take a look at the ingredients we brought out, you can take them one by one and say, is there anything like brain vitality? No. Is there anything like tranquilize? No. How about fucoidan specifically? Geez, they call it the miracle molecule. It does so many things. Spectromax has an ingredient in it called organic fulvic acid. They call it the miracle molecule. How many miracle molecules are there? I don't know, but I guess there's going to be one more than one miracle. And DW is here with us today, so it proves that there can be more than one miracle that exists in our life. Anyway, with that, the hydrogen, the diatomic hydrogen, when it bonds together, is really nature's perhaps very most powerful, most potent, not just antioxidant, but a molecule or atom that we'll ever take into our body. Now, because it's so small, it can go through every single cell, and there's ways to get hydrogen. And oxygen, of course, is essential with it. So you get a certain amount of hydrogen from some of the foods that you eat, or all of them actually, whether it be vegetarian or meat products, because that's all tied up in the chemical energy and different forms of chemical energy from one to another. And as animals eat plants and people eat animals and plants, things like that, that wide variety of nutrients goes into our body to provide specific effects in the body. Now with that, the key to them all, while they have their own particular chemistry, hydrogen is really the driving molecule or atom that's within it to do it. So as it goes through the system, because it has such energy, whatever structure of chemical that it is that is producing, it could be an antioxidant or anything. When I talk about chemical, I'm talking about natural ingredients. Everything is chemical. And so with that, it goes through and it can be absolutely important in something like a hormone and different proteins and eyesight, hair, and all of that. But the important thing about it is because of the size it goes into every cell of the body, and there deep within you lies one of the most dangerous things for damaging your health and actually reducing your lifespan, creating serious diseases, and that is the free radical. And certain types of free radicals are about 2,200 different groups of free radicals. Some more powerful than others, some weak, some extremely powerful. Uranium's extremely powerful free radical. That's the example on the top end. But these free radicals are hungry for electrons, if that gives you an idea. And electrons is what holds us together. We're held together by electrical energy, electrons, that's being produced in every cell of our body. And the stem cells, including the brain, which uses massive amounts of it to create tremendous waves that monitor everything within our bodies. And now they've just found out now, and we'll talk about that a little later on here in the talk, but we've found out that there is a very potent relationship now between many of the biological features that are in using hydrogen beyond just antioxidant. But it is so powerful that here's an example for you. As an antioxidant, it'll go into your cells and it'll find toxic heavy metals, and since free radicals are hungry for electrons, they rob them from other tissues and break them down, just like steel rust. That's the same exact principle that's going in your body in a different variety, many different varieties of ways of attacking your body, but they're all doing it like the principle of oxidation or rust. So when hydrogen goes into the body, it's called H+. The plus stands for carrying electrons, and those electrons can be exchanged with something like free radicals to quench them and to render them neutral. It's important to know that in Chernobyl, when they had a tremendous radiation, that the Russians, who have been way ahead of this for many, many years, used a compound to spray all of the leaves. They had animals and people ingesting it. They disinfected buildings. Well, didn't disinfect. They sprayed it on buildings, on equipment, everywhere else, because it broke down free radicals. And the key element within it was organic fulvic acid, but the key element with it was hydrogen. So it could neutralize all those things. So when you think of radiation, there is the extreme maximum, and this works on that. Now, we live in a life where we have a lot of electronic signals going through our body right now. And you swallow the phone just like the dinosaur did in Jurassic Park, and it went off, you could hear it somewhere else, because those wavelengths go through all of us. And how about microwave? Not just from a microwave oven, but for different types of microwave signals and things that are radio signals, TV signals, all of that going through our bodies and unstoppable. But when that happens, it'll create oftentimes a lot of radiation damage especially if you get closer to some types of appliances that are doing that. But if you're taking diatomic hydrogen water, the potential to neutralize them, to quench their thirst for electrons is satisfied. And so studies are showing within the cell itself that hydrogen will neutralize the free radical molecule, especially the one that is very effective for what they call oxidative resistance. This is the one that really ages you the fastest, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on today. Also, hydrogen is very effective for it. Then hydrogen goes into, since it's in everywhere, from the top of our scalp to our hair, all the way down to the tips of our toes, it goes everywhere, and not just exchanging electrons where it's needed to do it, it exchanges electrons. So this is like a super nutrient on steroids. It goes through and exchanges electrons in systems that are sluggish, that are wearing out, that our performance has gone down, and with this burst of what? Electrons that go into it, you have the body operating much more functional and efficient and energized. So you can see the merit of it. So what we decided to do, you can't lug a machine around that you have in your house to produce diatomic hydrogen water, but you can put it in bottles. You can take it. If you do it, aluminum is the best. Just use a coated aluminum so you don't get aluminum in the water. But I think all of them that would be in a bottle, aluminum would be, well, they'd have a coating on it so that you don't leach the aluminum out into the system. But aluminum is really quite inhibitory to hydrogen. It will go through aluminum, but it takes longer because of the electronic consistency of it, which has some repelling to it. So that's the best way of doing it, if you can. We're going to suddenly start doing something that you don't have to pack bottles of water on. You can buy a bottle of water, and you can turn it into enormously powerful diatomic hydrogen water and super oxygenated water by simply taking our Sizzle H2 stick, which will be out. We are on track to have it out before Christmas, and so when it comes out, you'll be able to buy this pair of stick. It's like a stick pack, so about the size of your finger. Just tear the end off and dump it in the contents into a bottle of water. I suggest topping off the water because hydrogen, of course, is a gas, and when it releases it, it goes up to the headspace. So if you're full of water, it keeps it mixed all the time. So the chemistry of this is really quite unique, and we found a way, instead of 0.5 to 1.0, which is a very healthy range, we've found a way with this diatomic hydrogen in our powder that we can create 15 to 30 times more of it in a bottle of water that you drink than if you took it out of the machine. Now, what's the difference between really good and absolutely superior? Great, good is good, but great is much better. That's what this says. The more hydrogen you have, the better you respond to it. And for those of you who've been drinking the hydrogen water, you know your body gets almost like addicted to it. And I think it's like you have cravings for certain things, like chocolate. Those cravings, especially in women, are justified by their biology because they're great hormone food, chocolate is. So anyway, with hydrogen, there is so much in the body, and when you start taking it, I believe, this is my theory, and a few other people have the same philosophy, and some of the world's leading researchers that I deal with personally, and they think the brain senses what it does in the body, and then it sends signals to us in our appetite control center to drink more hydrogen water versus regular water because of the health benefits within it. So that's a lot to say, but that isn't all. Hydrogen water, you can take the diatomic hydrogen water like we have, and you can blend it in a glass, glass that you would drink of, but never put it in a glass bottle. The reason why is it will expand. And here's the reason that that happens. It takes the water molecule, which is H2O, we all knew that. That means two hydrogen, one oxygen. They are covalently bonded together. In other words, they're super glued together, so to speak. And what it does is the ingredients in this, which are really quite rare and exclusive and difficult to get, we take and blend it. So we create a situation of where the bond is being provided by this is stronger than the bond that keeps the hydrogen and the oxygen together. So it splits. And when it splits, hydrogen wants to pair, and so does oxygen. And so two hydrogens are there, and they immediately bond into H2, which is the gas. And the oxygen is H2O, which means one oxygen, so it seeks out readily another oxygen and bonds to it. That's why oxygen in our air is O2, we breathe. That's the form that's there. So now you have oxygen, which is the gas. You have hydrogen, which is the gas, and you see it start building up within your bottle. That's why we say don't put it in a glass bottle, because it'll expand and could break with it. That's really quite a lot of power to say. But you can put it in a plastic bottle because it has flex and will give. But if you take one of these inexpensive plastic bottles and you dump the H2 stick into it, you will find as you seal it up, and you can shake it up a little bit there because you have no head space, so you're not losing hydrogen. It just keeps remixing the water. Don't shake it up like you're really trying to shake it, but you shake it enough to keep it circulating, moving off the surfaces in the bottom that's being converted to create the diatomic hydrogen and superoxygenation properties of that water you are about to drink. You'll notice with a bottle, within just a few minutes, you'll feel it start to expand and become more firm. It's kind of like, think of it like this, of taking a balloon that has been at a birthday party or something like that and lays on the floor. After a few days, it starts wrinkling and going down in size. Well, that's the way it is with that, and it's also exactly the way it is with water in a bottle. You have, if you want to blow up a balloon, you blow it up. You can restore it back to the size it was. So here we have diatomic hydrogen, which is applied pressure. It's a gas, and gas takes, and so is oxygen, and gas takes up 3 to 4 times the volume that a liquid does. So as a consequence, the whole sides of the bottle start to flex, start to expand, and with some of them, if they're thin enough, you can hear it crinkling as it's expanding out all of it and stretching it. For you to take that cheap bottle and then you let it sit for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how much time you want to put in it. More is better. But then you'll feel it's really quite solid. So then you drink it down, and you need to drink it down unless you can put it in another reservoir that would hold anything you don't. But you drink it down because hydrogen diffuses fairly fast. I mean, it's not going to be gone in 30 minutes or something like that, but it's going to go fairly fast, especially when there's headspace in it. So if you're doing a drinking glass, of course it's not enclosed, so it won't break on you. So you can pour it and then take half a sachet and pour it in. And when you do that, just slightly stir it every once in a while and give it the time to do it, because the way we have overbuilt this is so dramatic that it's producing just massive amounts of diatomic hydrogen and huge amounts of oxygen, superoxygenating and hydrating, superhydrogenating the water with it. So it will, and it lasts, sure, it won't be as potent as if you had it in a bottle sitting for 15 minutes. If you give it 5 minutes and stir it a little bit, it is going to be so immensely powerful. If you compare that, I don't know what it is, I just guessed at it, but after 5 minutes in an open glass, compared to that which you took out of the machine, I think it'd be 15 or 20 times more powerful. If you can put it in a bottle, set it up, maybe you can go 30 times or more powerful with the sealed one. So that's some of the story of diatomic hydrogen, except there is such new science coming out all the time where they're having powerful support from this super support nutrient, that's what it is, to the human body, and things that working in the brain, they're having amazing results with this, supporting some of the biological processes involved with Parkinson's, with Alzheimer's, many things that are involved within the heart, the cardiovascular system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, it goes everywhere, and it does a lot. So with something like that, who wouldn't want to have it? Do you want a bottle of, and remember the old, well, I guess they're still current V8 bottles, and when you bought a V8 in the store, or they advertised on TV, they'd say, so they picked up something and say, wouldn't you sooner wish you had a V8? Well, yeah, it was more nutritious than what you're drinking. But now you're going to say, you really want to drink water, or do you want to use super hydrogenated, super oxygenated water and have the enormous power of the sun expressing itself through every cell in your body? That's why it has so much appeal. So as a consequence, with all the different things that it does, we'll start publishing studies on it in the science page on your website so you can see it. Now understand, we're going to blow the doors off this world with this because of our massive size, our debt-free structure, our lowest cost of manufacturing. I can buy these raw ingredients, raw metals that are in high purity, and the extraction process is very expensive and extensive, and I can buy them, put it in, and we're going to have a product that's going to sell for, catch this, $29.95. So for the price of $1 a day, you could have a bottle of super hydrogenated water or 2 glasses of it for simply $1. Is that how much you pay to upgrade Starbucks coffee or anything else like that? Here you take water, and you take water, which is very important for us, but now you have the power of the sun and the oxygen working together throughout all of your body, and you're going to feel it. It'll be interesting seeing it in the bottle too, because you'll see reactions taking place and waves of material coming up. It's hydrogen, it's oxygen in the form of being transported into different areas and further breakdowns taking place. Now, one little thing that you'll find, which is important for you to know, not all of it will dissolve, most of it will, that you put in from the powder. But the little bit of residual is there. If you can drink it, it's a lot better for you, because it'll be ionic magnesium, which your body is desperate for, and especially the brain. It's a critical thing for the brain. And so that which is left, remember, we put it in the water so it wouldn't have been harmful if by itself with that. So when it's left, just drink it dry. If you can, swirl it up a little bit and take your magnesium residue that's left in there, because it's extremely healthy. You don't have to, but it's just a bonus for what you're doing. So that's at $29.95 for 30-day supply, or a 60-day supply if you just use a glass, a day. But I'd recommend people go through at least 2 glasses of this. But with the blast it is, you'll have immense power. And after you do it for a few days, you'll know the difference between when you don't and when you do, because the body just jumps with the power of hydrogen. And then, of course, all the metabolic activity requires oxygen. And if you're oxygen deficient, they'll give you oxygen to breathe. But if you really want to super oxygenate the body, you put oxygen in water. It absorbs much faster than breathing it in through your lungs. So those are some important things and some selling points you can go on and you do. So get ready, because here within a week or so, well, for 10 days, probably within 10 days, the product will be ready. We're only making 5,000 boxes to start with because of a month's supply, because we're limited on the very rare minerals that are needed within it and nutrients, some of them. And so the whole formula is based upon that component or the other component, and so everything has to be there to do it. So these companies have been used to selling in, I think, laboratory testing, clinical testing in minute amounts, and now we've got them producing massive amounts. But it isn't just like putting a TV dinner in a microwave and pushing the button and out it comes. It takes a long time to gear up a process so you can produce enough of this material, or these materials that we need, that are not readily available in the market. Some are, that we have, but others that are absolutely essential to it are not. So we have these companies that are gearing up so they can produce very large amounts for it. But the first 5,000 boxes go out, and it'll be sold first come, first serve. So when they're gone, and they won't be back until we get our first shipment, second shipment now, of the essential ingredients that we need for this to do it. How long that will be, I hope not very long. I hope only a week or two. But nonetheless, it's good till gone, and then we think we'll have it around all of the time forever. And look what this is going to do for building your body, or building your business as you build the body, and so demonstratable that it's amazing. cover on that today, and because I have a few other things I want to talk to you about futuristic. First of all, we're going to talk about some things that you need to be aware of. You can listen to this on the call I did that's on YouTube from Doc Fizz yesterday, who incidentally I think is the one that screwed up our call yesterday, but we'll give him credit for both. But there are three terms you should learn. One of it is senescence, and it's SENESCENCE. The second one is senolytics, SENOLITICS. The third one is epigenetics, which is EPIGENETICS. So those are three major areas that we are now moving into because of the tremendous damage that some of these occur and the ways that there are to mediate it and mitigate it, and to have the not only the things not happen, but to actually correct them with these types and with certain ingredients which we'll have to call as precursors to it. Just like in our H pill, which produces the energy molecule of the body, NAD, it takes quite a bit to get it to where you're going to have really a meaningful effect. But in doing so, there's a limitation that your car can only go as good as the motor that's in it, and other things. As they break down, you can have the car repainted and fenders put on and everything, but the inside's not working, it's not going to work well. So with stem cells, we have a whole respiratory system in there, so we can take glycation, which is really just oxidized glucose from metabolism that plaques and films the proteins so they can't function within the cell, and it greatly slows down the metabolic activity, and then cells fill up with cellular garbage. Some things, since all the nutrients come in, not all of them, as they get compounded, can get out, and they start building up and have lipofussion, which is cellular sludge, cellular garbage. And so our H pill is designed to do all of that. So now if we can take a stem cell and we can improve them, there's some important things to know about that. When you're born, you have 100% activity of your stem cells. By the time you're 18, you've lost about 20% of your activity. So that's 20% that have gone like senile, but senescent and not functioning. And 80% are. But it is so dramatic, it has built you at that 100% to where you've got your full-size body, or essentially. But beyond that, now it really starts to go down because the body mass and the replacement cells that have to be produced. And if you are not producing more cells than you're losing every day, and we have 40 trillion cells, so the turnover rate, like cells in the stomach, there's only about 4 days. They're so harsh environment. They have to be replaced every 4 days. Skin is replaced about every 30 days or so. And the heart, maybe 3 years. The liver, a couple of years. Things like, so it's different. Your brain tissues are being repaired. All of those types of things are happening because cells are wearing out and the body's natural mechanisms remove them. So this is where senescence comes in, that cells become senescent or dormant. Now, that's bad enough, shutting it off, but something else happens when it is, and I'll tell you about that in a second. So anyway, if you go from 18, let's say to 30, about a little over 10-year increment, you've lost 40% of your stem cell activity. It's 40% senescent and 60% active. That's in only 10 years. Well, the next 10 years, by you get to be 40, it's 60% senescent or inactive and 40% active with the stem cells. So look at that. But you can see why people get to the point of 30, and especially 40, and they're just decelerating. And their bodies are starting to break down. You see the things happening, visible signs of aging, energy, all that dissipating, going away. So what happens is when you have that going on, it's like a slippery slide. The further you go, the faster you go. So when you're 60, Kisses is 60. I think we're all about going to live to be 60, we could say. You're down to between 2 and 5% cellular activity. In other words, your 95 to 99 8% senescent. So that's really quite a shocking thing to think about. So you see how people, when they get into their 70s, are skin and bones, and you can see how dementia is coming in because you've lost so many brain cells that haven't been rebuilt. And so how do you handle it? Well, you find things that are nutrients that will do that, that are super precursors. I mean, not just a precursor, it means it's before something. And if you have a precursor that feeds a natural biological system, then you can have cause and effect with it, and it can be positive effect, even though it's in an adverse situation. The key to this is understanding that aging is not a disease and it's not biological. Aging is a matter of physics, not biology, because aging consists of decay and degeneration. And with that, you have so many things that are happening is you lose body cells, and so the content goes down. Well, if you're down to, if you lost 60% at age 40, where do you think you're going from there? Because by 60, you're down to 2 to 5%, so everything's going down. So aging is decay and degeneration. So if we can end the decay and increase the regeneration, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to, number one, stop aging. We believe, this is our theory, and we hypothesize that through science and animal models, now some being tested on humans, you can actually grow younger as you live longer. And our purpose is to help you so you can grow or live to a very long age at a very long lifespan at a very young age. And so that's what we're doing. H-Build, H2 hydrogen, the same triangle of life, wow, brain vitality, TSX, all those go together. And so you have immense power that's not available in any company, in pharmaceuticals, in anything in the world, because these are the super nutrients of the biology of our God-given plants that are here on Earth that science has now found out what these are, what they can do, and that comes in because we have mapped the human genome, is one of the big things. And of course, that's your DNA. Your DNA is spiral, and within it, it has genes on the appendages that are coming off between its double helix bond. So as it's spiral, you have genes down there. How much capacity you have, it will shock you. Because if they took the total information of all of the entire world, everything it has from history began till now, you could store that information on your own personal DNA. That is the power that's there. So now, because it's so expansive, but it's been mapped, scientists are looking at specific ways of taking subsections out of that and determining why those genetics are being damaged, why they're not effective anymore, and what things can be used to do that. And that is the term of epigenetics. And so epigenetics is involved in diagnosing what these are and then providing solutions and super nutrient precursors that can address the issues that you have in degradation of the DNA. So you have a thing like a mutation, like smoker for every 15 cigarettes they smoke. Most of us smoke now, thank goodness. But for every 15 cigarettes, you get one mutation that is permanent, unless the body has the ability to replace it. And I think NAD can do that. But when you've got a heck of a lot of damage, it's hard to bring it back. But if you bring everything you can into power, you can do amazing things, I believe. So anyway, one thing that happens within the genes is they are contacted by like different types of nutrients or compounds that the body has made out of these nutrients, and they are triggered with the cellular signaling from whatever the nutrient compound is that's contacting the genes, and that drives the activity that whatever that gene is for, eye color or skin or any of the parts of the body, it needs those genes functioning well. If you can bring everything up to speed as you would with the product, I think like the H-Bill or close to the optimum, so that you receive what we call homeostasis. That's as nearly perfect as we can make it. That's what we're trying to do. So DNA has been been broken down, or actually you can have things like methylation, which coats it. The methylation is an important part of the signal selling. When the signal selling, it transfers to the genes from whatever nutrient or ingredient, and with that, it's using a process called methylation. This methylation now can leave a residue, and that residue can stick to the genes, and it can block and keep them so they're not really affected, or affected to a much lesser degree by the nutrients and the ingredients that you use to cell signal them. Early, you had a lot. Later on, they go way down. So what we're concentrating our system in is we're looking at the epigenetics of so many things, and you're going to see some very major things coming out really quick. And lickety quick split. I mean, hydrogen will be here, and the next month I dare to tell you what comes out at the end of January, but it'll come in February probably. But it is mind-stopping, just like hydrogen and the HPL, all the other things are. But it's a big blowout that's coming, and then we're going to be bringing out our skincare, because we're going to really revise our whole skincare line because of what epigenetics shows works, and then the way to deliver it. So skincare products are delivered from the top down, and all products are in the marketplace. In reality, they use such competitive products, use such minuscule amounts of it for label claim. I know one ingredient takes 20,000 parts to work, and one of the major cosmetic companies uses 4 parts per million to work. Well, it doesn't work at 4 parts. It starts at 20 and it increases to 50,000. So when you have 4 parts, what do you have? You have a label claim and a lot of advertising and beautiful 20-year-old models who are wrinkle-free advertising the product. But look at the grandma. When she bring her out, she's been using that product for 30, 40, 50 years, and her face looks like the lines on a Rand McNally roadmap. That's the way it is, because these products don't work. They don't penetrate. They don't use enough of them to do it. And the skin is a multifaceted organ. It's the largest organ in the body. And here's where it can be so beneficial, because with the skin, as it starts to age, you have epigenetic changes that have taken place within the skin. We haven't known what many of them are. Now we know what a lot of them are, and most of them. And so with doing it, we now can design new nutrients, super nutrients, others in combination to now address that directly. So we can go in and things like methylation residue, go on. But there's a lot of other things in skin. You have things like cytochrome, which can cause so much damage, and you have crystallization of structures, and you have glycation is really a horrible part of skin care, and that's oxidation buildup, and lipofuscin too. So your skin really reflects your age on your hands, your arms, your face, your throat, because they have tremendous exposure to a couple of things. One of it is to pollution in the atmosphere. Now, most of our skin, about 80% of it, relies directly on atmosphere oxygen from the atmosphere that surrounds it, not the lungs. And so it's only when you get to the very deepest areas where the lungs start to become effective. So as a consequence, with that, we get a lot of pollution, a lot of toxins, a lot of things that cause people like allergies and asthma. And you hear you have these days where you have an inversion. There's so many toxins that are trapped in the air that we're breathing. Yeah, that all goes in your skin too. So with that, those things need to be addressed. And so we have been doing that, but now we're going to do it on a scale that is right out of Star Wars. This is like from Star Trek, and we are the Trekkies of this nutritional skincare and hair care universe. We're going where no one's gone before. We're doing what no one's done before. We're seeing things that's nobody really seen how to bring out in a product before. We are the Trekkies of this industry, not just network marketing, but literally the personal care and the dietary supplemental health products that are out. So we're going to be addressing this because there are some amazing ways. In fact, as I have found a compound that can penetrate through the skin, actually, if you want to use the right amounts and what it is. But what we want to do is we're going to incorporate, that's one of the new ones coming out, but it won't take it clear through the skin. We don't want it going in the blood system, but it carries things, and that's the problem. With skin, it's hard to get things to penetrate. This is attaches to them, takes them down in a smaller size, and it takes them throughout the structure of the skin. So then if we look at what that is, you think you have what? A basal layer where you have stem cells, and that creates your dermal layer, which is converted to an epidermal layer, which is converted to the outer, the dead zone, which is the stratum corneum on the outside of the skin. And within those dermal, epidermal, stratum corneum, basal cells, stem cells, there are very many different degrees of variations that take place. Cell starts out completely round and mostly water soluble, ends up a lot like cornflakes, flat and warped and mostly oil soluble, lost most of its water content. So in the way of this transition is because skin needs to be shed often because it's so suspect and can be damaged by the environment and our physical work and all those other detergents, all those types of things we use. So this is what we're doing with this new ingredient. Plus, with that new ingredient, we have found some new ingredients that are stunning, that are improving skin faster than anything science has ever thought possible, or that is possible. Now, the number one skin stimulating ingredient is called alpha-retinoic acid. You find it in acne treatments. But so many people get so much irritation from it that they'll use it, but use it limited. And they're trying to dumb it down and dilute it down in some skincare products and bring out. But it's just, and any concentration that's really meaningful, it creates a lot of irritation. Well, a research company has been looking at that, and they have designed, and we have gotten some, getting more of it, of an ingredient that's a retinoid, like ultra-retinoic acid is. There are many types of those, but this is a super retinoid, and what it does, it'll penetrate in the skin, and it will go, because of the molecular size, it can go down deeply into the skin, and it has 6 to 7 times more power for supporting skin cell stimulation as a precursor than ultra-retinoic acid is. Do you want that in your product? You bet. The other thing you'll notice about your skincare is your skin gets wrinkled, crusty, creped, especially on hands and arms. It's because ultraviolet light, it does so much damage, and it creates a lot of glycation, which is really glucose residue that coats proteins and inhibits the way that they function or stops them. And you have so much of that in your hands that they can't possibly work the way they should. In addition, the elastin, you have collagen networks, and a variety of them, different ones in there. All those have to be addressed. We're addressing them all the best that we can. We think, well, like nobody else has ever done or may ever do with what we're bringing out. But there's also many different structures that are involved in the skin too. One of those essential ones is elastin, and elastin is like Jack and the Beanstalk. It's the struts that hold the skin up, and when elastin can't do it anymore, then what happens is the skin collapses because the elastin's been so damaged by ultraviolet light, so coated then, and as it collapses down, it's coated with glycation, and as a result, you can use a lot of skincare products, and you have to overcome that, and many of those things are utterly impossible to do, or at least have been. Now, we brought out transfusion, which is, I mean, it's the wrinkle product, skin product of all. It's not better than, it's vastly superior to all others. But now with the new discoveries in epigenetics, we're going to take it to a different level. We're going to put things in it that have never been done before. Things that are super precursors to the body's natural mechanisms that are trying to break down the crystallization, the glycation, and all the damages within the skin. They have the proper precursors. The motor's there running, it just needs the fuel, is the way of looking at it. We're going to provide those through to the skin. And where other products, cosmetic products, treat skin from the top, we're going to treat it from the bottom up. So we're designing a program to go deeply into the skin to address the very many different needs that skin has, because it's a complex organ, and do it in the right concentrations to get the amount of power, and you're going to see such a restoration in your skin that will shock you. There's one study on a combination of these ingredients that we're using, not our product, but that's been researched, and they found within 14 days, the average person could see a visible change occurring in their skin. Now, how would that be? So you can imagine what would be after a month. There's a real marketing thing that we can do, but our chemistry is so complex, I'm going to try and put it down so that it's more understandable to you, and so you've got it. But that's what we're doing in transfusion. Then we're going to do something for eye bags. Eye bags are nothing but pockets of fluid that have flowed out of the eye socket because you have fatty cushions, pillows, balloons that surround the eyeball itself that keep it from shock. It's kind of like jumping on a bungee because it will absorb shock and keep the eyes so they aren't damaged by the shaking and able to focus better. But as you get older, that fat level, that's fat levels, and they go down, they diminish. When they do, it's like a balloon letting the air out. And as it sits on the floor for a few days, you see it wrinkling and letting the air out. Well, as it gets down to a certain point, these fluids that it's been retaining within the eyeball come out and they form the eye bag. So there's been some things, and we tried to do some things to improve eye bags quickly, like on a daily basis. But there's a whole new approach now that can be taken where we can really take a look at the eye with crow's feet, with wrinkles, with hanging eyelids, with eye bags, and directly handle those with super precursors that can give tremendous effects to support the body so that you watch your eyes, instead of going, they'll be coming back towards you. So we're going to do things like that. We've also found a compound that we'll probably put in there, Actify 6000, and that will be modified in other ways due to epigenetic needs of what it does. But it really stops all skin irritation. About 50% of the women have sensitive skin, and that's caused by histamines. We have found a compound that you can put into skincare, the revolutionary, and it goes in there, it won't let histamines form. It interferes with the catalytic process of forming histamines, so they just don't form and skin irritation goes away. So that's all pretty exciting about that, isn't it, with what we're doing?
Yes,
now we're going to go into an area called senolytics, the third part. And epigenetics will apply not just to skin, but to all other parts of the body also. And because of that, we have a great resource to use, science. But senolytics is really the dealing of the causes of aging and to help to assist them so they stop to start with. And if we can get those systems to stop aging, then what does that mean? End decay and create more regeneration of the cells than you are losing every single day. If you do that, you're going to watch body mass come back. This is we have to hypothesize because the product of science is on animals and some of it is barely getting to humans, but with all of them, we can see the animal models and mammals in particular, but some of these things are applicable in all animals, whether they're reptiles or whatever, birds. But with that, we're able to actually go into the levels and find out what the issues are and address them powerfully. Now, we certainly have done it with the AIDS pill. But now here's I want you to put this in your mind for a second. Would you be interested in a product that if you ingested it and you did it on a daily basis, and we're hypothesizing this, and when you took it in, it would kill virtually all of the cancer cells floating in your body. We all have cancer cells that are floating through our body, but most of us don't have cancer. But 1 out of 4 of us is or 1 out of 2.5 of us is going to, because there's an accumulation of these to where the immune system can no longer identify the cancer cells because it's getting worn out. And so now there's a way to address it. So that would you be interested in a product that you could take, and if you don't have cancer, this isn't the cure, but it will support as a precursor the natural cancer-fighting systems so that cancer cells can go into what's called apoptosis. And apoptosis means cell death. And that's very, very important. So if these super nutrients are precursors to what the body is already producing that causes, and apoptosis is a natural phenomenon to keep us healthy, but we lose our ability to kill those cells and they become senescent with it. But if you can go in and through cell signaling, through epigenetics like I'm talking about, and you can address that, you could trigger that to where the cell goes into apoptosis, and you can also build the support building. This is theorizing, so you have to say all that because that's theory is based on great science. So then you're going to be able to go in there, and we're going to be able to support through precursors for natural processes that are already occurring, the ability to train and build and help the T cells, the killer cells, the macrophages, and that can go about and devour these cells that are undergoing apoptosis. Until they undergo apoptosis, a lot of times now the immune system can't determine what they are, and that's in regular cells as well as cancer cells and other things. Now you make it so that they're very sharp and they can do it, and if you have apoptosis occurring in some types of cells, then you'll have a tremendous effect. Now, apoptosis means cell death, but it's only to cells that are defective, and that's a natural way. So if you had a product like this that could do all of that, and it was natural, and I mean natural, extremely, well, rare, of course, and exotic, but I'm getting that produced, and I use it in my previous company, but for something else, which is sort of related, but now science has gone so much further than what we do. But this compound would also have a synergistic effect in that apoptosis is very important for cancer cells and defective cells and disease cells. But the biggest area of senescence is in stem cells. And so stem cells become senescent. Say if you're 50, what have you got? You've got 25% of your stem cells working, or 20%, 80%'s not. You're 40, 60%'s not. So the ones that aren't just sitting there dormant. They're sitting there, but they're not, because of the aging process, the natural ways of getting rid of them through apoptosis in normal senescent stem cells, not cancerous ones. That apoptosis mechanism works within your body. So now what we have found is an ingredient. This ingredient can affect the cancer cells by providing precursors that affect it, and it can provide precursors that affect senescent stem cells to go into apoptosis, and that's the theory that we're working on. So would you take a pill if you could take it every day and your senescent stem cells went away and the cancer cells were just getting cleaned up that are free-floating and around in your body or stuck here or there? Wouldn't that be a marvelous product to use? Well, the other thing that's a really plus, let's throw another bonus on it. When you remove a senescent cell, such as a stem cell, it's in a bud, a polyp. And when that happens, there's some other things that you can add that are precursors to it because the natural process is happening, and boing, up will pop another new stem cell, a young stem cell, ready to go, because within the bud there is, it actually is programmed genetically to produce replacement stem cells, because the body is, when you're younger, is killing off as many as it can if cells are going senescent and then popping up new ones to replace it. But now you have a large array of them, so if you have a compound that goes in and all of these stem cells that have now gone through apoptosis been removed, now the buds will start just like a crop growing. You have all of these new young stem cells like you had in your body. We think, this is our theory, an opinion, that will be much like when you were an adolescent, again, the death of adolescent, maybe an infant again, it can come back. Would you buy a product like that? Would you be interested in one? How many other people do you know would be interested in one? Well, we're working on it, and we think we can have one. So, and have it out within this next year, probably within the 6 months, maybe less than that. It just depends on how much we can do. So I've covered quite a few things today with you. And, oddly enough, a week or so ago when I was on the call, and I went for an hour, and I covered that, I thought, oh, geez, all of this is, at least hydrogen I've talked about, but all of this is coming, and I want to give you a preview of it, just like you see a preview of a movie, so you want to go see it. These previews of these products are so that you're going to want to use those, and you want to share them with others, and you can start boning up on those. And so if you are on Facebook, go to my websites, because I'm part of the websites. Go to my Facebook side. I publish all the time, and you can scroll down through it, and you ought to take article after article after article that is relevant to health, and just print it off or store it in your file so you can review it. Now, some of this is very technical. So what we're doing is Aaron and Jason, who is the head of our marketing department. Aaron, of course, head of worldwide sales, Milo sales in North America. We are working aggressively, and they're working their tails off on this thing to get everything done and out for you as quick as possible. And this is very complex. We have to internationally register and have approved. We have standards to make. You have to look at things even like Proposition 65, which is like a vulture ready to get you. Or California wants us to live their lifestyle, and so they restrict ingredients and things or limits. But all of those things are going on. FDA compliance, FTC compliance, all of that has to be taken into consideration. And with that, they're doing it, they're sorting it out, we're reviewing it, we make often and go through, update, add to, change, alter, all of the things that are being done, and doing it in a way so there's the taste of science is there that you can see, but because of drug laws, you can't make a structure function claim. I can't say something kills cancer cells. I can say this is a nutrient to the precursor that causes cancer cells to go into apoptosis. See? So and that's a natural process. So I'm not creating a change, I'm just supplying nutrients so it can be used. So we can't make a claim that some structure will be rebuilt, some structure will become healthy, because Big Pharma has got a big foot on our neck, and they don't want us having these kinds of products. There's a lot of money in treating the causes, not treating the diseases themselves, and not getting at the cause. Because if they cure something, they lost a customer. But the big money in Big Pharma, and also in big medicine to a large degree, is the fact that they make money when you're sick, and when you're not, you don't go in, you don't buy the products. So what do you want? Do you want to die 20, 30, 40, 50 years younger? I think the potential right now, Dr. Gray just said, is the person has probably been born this young right now, and they should live with all the advancements coming. Dr. Gray is one of the leading researchers in the world on this. They should live to be about 1,000. He's been saying, well, the science we got now should live to be about 200. Well, I don't think I'm going to make it, but I'll take 150. That'd be nice. And I'm giving you my promise, I'll live to 125 with it. But that's the kind of excitement we have. Tell me a company on earth that would have that kind of excitement and that kind of opportunity. They don't exist. They don't exist in medicine. They don't exist in dietary supplements. They definitely don't exist in network marketing, but they are reality and sizzle. So I want to thank you for spending a full hour with me, and I've enjoyed passing this information off. I'm going to be enjoying supporting it. You have to learn what to say, how to say it, and put things in a sequence. This isn't extensive. You're not a doctor. Try and be a little calm and understand all these kind of things. Just learn the bullet points, because people want benefits, not features, but you have to have some reflection of the features in order to provide the benefits. And we're doing that all skillfully for you, and that's being done especially through Aaron, Milo, and Jason. So thanks for having me on today, giving me another kick at the can. I was upset when Doc Fizz did something and screwed up the whole system, but I got over that. We're ready to go. So back to you, DW.
Absolutely amazing. I've